Hi, I'm Corey Driver, and this is Moving Forward. Happy Advent, and happy Advent from my in-laws' bedroom closet. It's a quiet place in a house. So today we're talking about Mark 13 and maybe the end of the world. It is a really fitting passage to begin Advent, a time of expectation and waiting and not knowing what's coming next. And we a lot of times don't even know how to talk about this particular passage. Is this the end of the world? Is it a coded anti-imperial message of inspiration to Christ followers? Maybe. There are a lot of folks who think a lot of different things about Mark 13. That's okay. I will tell you my particular interpretation. You're watching this video after all, but there are lots of interpretations. I tend to think that Jesus is simply being pastoral here and talking to actual humans who are going to go through actual things. I'm not sure. I tend to think that the primary audience for Jesus's words here are not us, but the actual people he was talking to. And we can take inspiration and comfort from them and from Jesus and apply it to our own lives. But Jesus is talking to folks who are going to go through some things in the next generation. So Mark 13 starts with folks remarking about how big and how lovely stones are that make up the temple complex. And Jesus responds, there's going to come a day when these stones aren't even together anymore. And so then the disciples ask, well, what are going to be the signs of these things? And then Jesus starts to give a vision of the future. And again, if you want to apply that to the end of the world, that's fine. I don't think it is, because Jesus is really specific and talking about these particular stones that were knocked down. And in the lectionary reading for this week, Jesus says, this generation won't pass away until all these things happen. I think that was probably pretty literal. I think Jesus is talking about things that the disciples and their children and their disciples would see. So he starts off by talking about wars and rumors of war and famines, and we have actually pretty good dates on those things, at least famines, and then borrows the language of Daniel to talk about the abomination that causes desolation. So in the book of Daniel, I was probably thinking about Antiochus Epiphanes and the Greeks sacrificing a pig in the Jerusalem temple. But when Jesus talks about it, probably, I tend to think, Jesus is talking about Titus, the Roman general, who is going to, again, when the Jerusalem temple is sacked, by several accounts, sacrifice a pig in there. So the temple is going to be burned down. Jerusalem is going to be sacked by the Romans. And it's a terrible situation. And Jesus is about to be killed by Romans, right? And spends his time talking about how terrible it's going to be for moms, women who are pregnant, women who have young children that they're nursing, and thinking about, yeah, the Romans are about to kill me, but they're also going to kill a lot of other people too. And just be on your guard. Flee Judea. Don't go back into the city if you forget something, like just run to the mountains. And I think that's actually good advice, and several people follow that advice. Josephus, among others, goes to a cave and flees the Romans. So that's all good advice. But then when the lectionary starts, all of a sudden we're talking about stars and things, sun and moon and stars falling. And many scholars depart here with the interpretation and say, no, this is about the eschatological end of the world and what's going to happen and the new world and everything. Maybe, but I think that there's a better way to read this. I think the falling of a star, especially, is talking about Bar Kokhba and his revolt in the 130s Common Era. Son of a star, Bar Kokhba, is this messianic claimant. Several rabbis think, oh, here's the Messiah. He's going to lead us in war against Rome and free us from persecution. And he does, but also he fights a lot of Jews and Romans and just generally kills a bunch of people and leads folks astray, such that he's known in rabbinic writing as Bar Kosiba instead of Bar Kokhba. So the son of a lie, right? The star that had great promise that people thought, oh, it's going to be the Messiah, ends up being just really violent and dies. And leads a lot of people to their death. And so in this section where Jesus is actually warning people about other claimants, other people saying, oh, I'm the Messiah, or like, oh, the Messiah is here, oh, the Messiah is there. Jesus is saying, no, not any of them. They are not the Messiah. I am going to be coming on the clouds. Jesus uses a phrase, you will know that he is near, right at the door, to provide solace and comfort for his followers in really upsetting times. You don't know who's the leader to follow. You don't know what empire is going to be in charge. You don't know all these political machinations, and it's really scary politically, and you don't know like who's going to be in charge in the government. Maybe that sounds familiar. And Jesus says, I'm right there. I am near to you. I am right at the door. Jesus again uses this language of an absent master. Say, look, I'm going away. But you, like slaves of an absent master, be ready. As a doorkeeper, as servants, be ready, because you don't know when I'm going to return. And Jesus even says, this stuff that's going to happen, I don't know. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen. God does, but even the Son doesn't know. But the thing is, you can be ready. Jesus says, be ready. And I don't think it's like a threat or indication to do something that's not possible. Jesus is borrowing the language from Amos of this fig tree, right? When the fig is harvested, kites, then you know that summer has come, kites, right? And so it's a little pun. You can be ready, right? And the thing is, stuff is going to happen. Governments are going to rise and fall. There's going to be tumult in the world. There are going to be famines. There's going to be all sorts of rumors of war. Who knows if anything's true or whatever. But in that, the whole point of this speech from Jesus, I don't think is about the end of the world. And I'm not sure, and I'm not convinced that it's an anti-imperial, inspirational speech. What I think it is just good pastoral care. Jesus is talking to people who he knows will be in difficult situations because of political aspirations and all the rest. And he says, and this is the point, I don't know when this stuff is going to happen. What I do know is that I will be near, right at your very door. And that is the good news in this passage. I don't think that this Mark 13 is about, signs for the end of the world. I think this is Jesus speaking to actual humans who he knows are going to go through stuff. And he says, I'm with you. That's the best I got. Jesus, as we prepare to celebrate Christmas, as we ready ourselves during this Advent season, we confess as our Emmanuel, like God is with us. And the really good news is that that is true. Jesus continues to be with all of his people, including us. He is near at the very door.